Now, the popping rapper trap, does that ring a bell? Actually, it might not because I literally just came up with this a minute ago. I don't expect you to know what I'm talking about, but it's a real thing. So yeah. Let's talk about it. Rappers come and go. We know that. That's because we live in an extremely viral time right now. This is a very relevant thing to hip-hop. A crazy amount of rappers are constantly blowing up and making a name for themselves. Hit records are popping off left and right. Fan bases are being created and so forth. What happens when you are considered this rapper who's popping though? Of course, a lot of good things happen. Obviously, it's a privilege to be able to make a living for yourself as a rapper because not everyone is fortunate enough to the point where they actually make a name for themselves in this industry. As much as you think it's easy to blow up as a rapper, if we take a step back and look at the amount of people who are actually rapping and how many of those are coming out on the other side and becoming well known, yeah, it ain't so easy, right? When you hear me say that it's easy to blow up as a rapper, I'm more so referring to the amount of opportunities that are out here because best believe there's a lot of them. Have you ever heard the term getting lost in a sauce? Shout out to Gucci Mane aka Guap for blessing us with that term. But getting lost in a sauce is pretty much another way of saying being clueless or confused by your surroundings. A lot of rappers get lost in the sauce. A lot of rappers start popping off and stop doing the things that made them pop off in the first place. They become comfortable and they just get lost in the hype. I know this because how many rappers aren't coming and going just like that? When I say this, I'm not talking about, completely falling off to the point of now they have to start working a regular job. I'm more just talking about the relevancy aspect because that's something we can measure. Even if Lil Pump isn't as relevant as he once used to be, the fact is he's always gonna have some kind of fan base because there's a demand for that kind of music. There's a demand for a Lil Pump. When you finally become that popping rapper that I'm talking about, there's one big thing that always happens, and that is you're now the man. Right now, Roddy Ricch is the man and the box is his wave. In the beginning of 2017, XXXTentacion was the man. In the beginning of 2018, Lil Skies was that guy. And shortly after that, Juice WRLD was that guy thanks to Lucid Dreams. In the summer of 2019, Lil Nas X and Lil Tecca were those guys. Now let's rewind a little bit. Back in 2016, 21 Savage, Uzi and Kodak were those guys. Every single rapper who makes it somewhat big will have their time. There's always gonna be that time when they're that interesting new face who's blown up and everyone is tuning into them. The question is, how do they make the most out of that? There's only two things that could happen to a popping rapper. The first one is he capitalizes on his movement in whatever way you could think about. As an example, and yes, I know that Lil Nas X isn't your traditional rapper. I'm using him because he is a hybrid. He sings and raps. But how exactly did Lil Nas X capitalize on his movement? He did that by utilizing social media in a very clever way. How many times did this man promote his #1 record on Twitter? I'm talking about all those stream Old Town Road memes, and he did that despite the song already being #1 for weeks on top of weeks. For a period of time, I was asking myself, why is he promoting this song so much? I mean, it's already #1, but then I realized that he's doing exactly what he's supposed to do, which is setting himself up for longevity by squeezing the hell out of that Old Town Road juice as long as he possibly can. On the other hand, we got someone like Lil Xan. Now, Lil Xan got one hit and just disappeared. But what happened before he disappeared though? He of course said that Tupac is boring Common, and everything started going downhill from there. At one point, a bunch of Tupac fans pulled up on him in person, threatening him. Hip-hop fans were coming for his neck on the daily. There was another incident where a guy pulled up on him at a parking lot for his Tupac Common, and things just got crazy after that. The kind of crazy that you can't really come back from if you ask me. Don't get it twisted though, even a Lil Xan is always gonna have some kind of fan base, but you won't see Lil Xan reaching a higher level than what he's reached in the past. One thing I've noticed about rappers nowadays is once people get familiar with their face, name, and presence, and they've set the tone for what kind of rapper they are when they're at that popping rapper stage, it's extremely hard for them to change that perception, whatever that perception is. That's exactly why I think DaBaby, despite being a superstar rapper, is constantly involving himself in bad situations. After all, when DaBaby was really taking off the rip, we saw headlines about him beating up a guy at the Louis V store. After that, don't forget that incident where his security beat up that guy at the club and put him in a coma. In early January of this year, he got arrested after allegedly robbing and assaulting a club promoter, and then about a week and a half ago, he was seen roughing up a hotel employee after the guy tried to record DaBaby and his daughter. I don't even really want to hold that one over his head. That guy had it coming for him. But the point I'm trying to make still stands. DaBaby is seen as that hard rapper who's gonna beat your ass if you talk smack. Now he kind of has to maintain that image because that's what people recognize him as. Another example, when Roddy Ricch outsmarted Justin Bieber by telling people to stream JB's song. That's when I knew Roddy Ricch is here for a long time, not a good time. Being here for a good time is living recklessly like Tekashi 6ix9ine. That's a guy right there who thought he could tell the whole industry to suck his dick and stay untouchable. That's a guy who thought he could roll with some people who are actually about it and come out on the other end completely intact. That's a guy who thought being that popping rapper makes him invincible to any consequences, and of course he was wrong. I'm telling you these examples to make a very important point. Rappers can pick and choose and make a conscious decision on how exactly they want to be viewed, or what kind of direction they want to go in. I think a lot of rappers get lost in the sauce because things are coming so fast to a lot of them. Once they start taking off, the millions of followers on social media start coming in, their streams are booming, their concerts are packed like crazy, some of their idols now become a part of their friend group. Everything they worked for comes in the span of 12 months, sometimes even less. How are you even supposed to stay grounded in who you were before that? And don't forget that a majority of these guys are young as hell, and sometimes mixing a young rapper with money, clout, and power isn't the best outcome. The popping rapper trap that I'm talking about is, what do you do when you become that rapper who's now taking off on a major level? If you ask me, I think that's when a lot of rappers start setting the tone for the rest of their career. If you misuse your influence and your power for petty things that aren't related to the music, what kind of path is that gonna put you on, not only career-wise, but mentally? Unless he changes, DaBaby is always gonna feel forced to maintain that hard image everyone has of him. On the other hand, someone like Roddy Ricch is always gonna be the humble rapper at the top who shows love when hate and obstacles are thrown his way. That's exactly what he proved with that The Box versus Yummy situation. The trap in itself isn't really a trap, it's just what a rapper decides to do when he finally gets on and starts popping off.